Hello, good afternoon from Singapore, and a very warm welcome to you wherever you are joining us from. Thank you very much for spending time with us today. We will get started in just a few minutes once most of today's attendees have had the chance to join the webinar. So please bear with us until then. And while we wait, I'd like to play you two videos depicting a day in the life of Dover High School and East High School. I hope you enjoy them. So welcome everyone again, and I think we're just about ready to start today's high school virtual open day. So my name is Katie Phantom, and I am the Deputy Director of Admissions at the college, and I will just take a few minutes just to introduce the programme and to go through a few guidelines for today's events. As you know, this year we are offering you the chance to connect with us both virtually through this webinar and in person as well. So in addition to today's webinar, we have also our on-campus open day events for the East High School, which is this Thursday, the 5th of October, and for Dover High School on Friday, the 6th of October. So if you have signed up for those on-campus events, we very much look forward to welcoming you to the campus then. And for those of you who may be interested in our boarding environment at the college, we also have our virtual online webinar for our boarding interest tomorrow, the 4th of October, and we still have sign-ups available for you to sign up for that event. So the first 40 minutes of this event will be devoted to a presentation about the learning programme in the high school on both campuses, led by our high school principals. The presentation will be followed by about 30 minutes of questions and answers related to the learning programme. And you're also very welcome to ask admissions-related questions, although we urge you to focus on questions related to the high school programme and the student experience. Do note that this session does not include a formal presentation about the admissions process. We hope that you've been able to attend the Admissions Explained webinar event on the 7th of September, a recording of which was included in the webinar confirmation email that we sent you. In case you're not able to attend or to watch the recording, we encourage you to do so after this event. So as you listen to today's presentation, feel free to submit any questions via the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Some of my colleagues are working hard behind the scenes, responding to some of your questions in writing with links to useful information on our website. So do look out for those responses. Please note that this presentation about the learning programme will be recorded and it will be available on our website following this event, and the link will also be sent to those who have registered for today's event. So it is now my great pleasure to introduce you to the high school principals on both our East and our Dover campus. So over to you, Seema.
Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to our webinar to learn a little bit more about the Dover High School. We are absolutely delighted that you can join us. And I just want to spend a little bit of time introducing ourselves. I'm Seema Desai. I'm the high school principal on Dover, and you will see also that we have 4 vice principals who look after various aspects of your child's academic and also their social emotional care and well-being. So Izumi, Rebecca, Andrew, and Pippa are the 4 vice principals. Could I have the next slide, please? Just to give you a little bit of background on myself, I moved here last year. This is the start of my second academic year from Dubai, where I spent about 15 years in Dubai in various schools and different curricula. Prior to that, I was in Australia, and then prior to that in the UK, and have taught in various international contexts. I actually started out life as a research scientist and retrained to become a teacher much later on in life, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you today. You have the next slide, please. I'm going to pass you over to Damien, who is the high school principal at East.
Yeah, and a warm welcome from the East Campus. Thanks, Seema. So my name's Damien Batchu. I'm the high school principal at East, and like Dover, we have vice principals and senior staff who look after both the academic and the pastoral elements of looking after all our students. And we've got Kate, who looks after grades 9 and 10. And we have Ted, who looks after grades 11 and 12. And then we have Gemma Dawson, who's our IB coordinator, who also supports in our senior team. So the next slide, please. This is my family. It's my 3rd year at the East Campus. This picture was actually taken in Holland just before I flew over to Singapore during COVID. And it's very much a family affair. My wife, who's hiding on the side of the screen, is a teaching assistant in the infant school. I've then got 2 cheeky children, the boys in the middle there. They're twins, and that's Luke and Ben, and they're in our middle school. And then tucked in at the bottom in there is the little princess who's really in charge there, and that's Sophia. And she's actually now just moved into the middle school as well. So I'm here very happy. That was Holland, and in Holland I was previously before moving here I was the head of the IB diploma program for the International Baccalaureate Office, and then before that I was a head teacher in Dubai for 5-6 years, and again, like Seema, we've worked in quite a lot of countries, and we're just so excited and happy to be here and looking forward to sharing more about our school. Next slide. So what is it that makes us so excited to be here? This really is, I speak for Seema here and myself, this is really the culmination of our careers. This is the most amazing of places to lead. What unites us across the college at Dover and East is this one mission about the United World College, which I hope isn't brand new to you. I hope you would have had a chance to see this before, but we're really committed to it, and we'll unapologetically share it with you here. And I hope you hear it again many, many times. What makes us different as a college is that we have a mission that drives all of our activities. And you'll see that through the presentation from Seema and myself. The United World College movement is about making education a force. And it's a force that unites people, brings people together from different nations and cultures, and we are dedicated to bringing about a peaceful and sustainable future. Next slide. We're not on our own. The United World College Southeast Asia is a wonderful school, but we are one of 18 colleges that share that mission. And you'll note here that it literally is all around the world, maybe some new ones coming in the future. The connections and closeness and our linkages with each other are really, really important. And there's so many opportunities for our students to connect with those other scholars and across the movement. Next slide. So how does that mission, education as a force, sort of translate into our learning program? Well, these are our guiding statements. They're far too busy for me to go through them with you in detail, but I started with the mission. And if you look on the top left-hand side of this, these guiding statements, this is what guides our thinking in terms of what we're going to do during our learning program. For example, you can see the mission comes first. Out of our mission comes an educational goal, and and if you look at the number 2 there, to educate children to embrace challenge and take responsibility. Now, that's really important to us because we will be challenging our students, and we do want them to be responsible for shaping a better world. Yes, we want them to do well for themselves, and we have high hopes and high aspirations for all our children, but we are also here to make sure that we are able to meet the challenges of our world. Up into the orange in number 3, we've got some well-being principles and learning principles that shape our thinking about what we want the learning experience to be like. On the blue circle, this very much describes why we have a learning program that is segmented in different ways. And I'll come back onto that actually in a moment. And then we also then have, moving down to number 5, a profile of a perfect student, as it were. And these are the things that we expect our young people to be focused on, to be good critical thinkers, to be principled, to be resilient. And by doing all of these things, our hope is that we will help young people and ourselves as part of the community to enact that mission. And that will be obvious, hopefully, in the way that we talk about peace building, sustainable development, about our self-care and our community and well-being. So next slide. So here's one of those. Again, so we're back to those learning principles. We want to make the point that the learning and the individuals, yes, are centered in the middle here, but round the individual, there's so much thought that goes into how do we make sure that our young people and our community is well and is able to look after themselves. And that's often the result of our thinking around what it means to be competent, to be autonomous, and to be connected. And in doing so, we know that the learning is always much more successful when we are well. Next slide. I've mentioned already those principles: connected, autonomous, and competent. What we're looking to do is to make sure that all of our young people do feel connected. We know that when young people feel isolated or they don't know who to talk to or where to get help, we know that that can actually impact our self and well-being. We also want our young people to be autonomous. We know that we have a very bold mission and our work is very important, but without our young learners, particularly in the high school, becoming more and more independent and autonomous and able to advocate for themselves and to plan their learning and take ownership for their learning, we know that that won't help them flourish. And then obviously we know that competency, so being able to do things and do things well, is really important to our learners. So much of that is achieved through the quality of our learning, our teachers, the learning program, but also in how we make sure that our young people identify themselves as competent and confident in being well in their learning here. Next slide. So these is more of an expansion on there. Again, these won't be new to you, but we're putting them up here. So actually you do look out for them as we're talking about our values, about our competencies, and about the qualities and skills that we think are important in all of our learners. Next slide. So we'd like to go through the learning program. If you go to the next slide, we get the final one of our sort of pictorials here. And this is our holistic learning program. Around the middle where you see the word learning program, you'll see 5 elements, the 5 elements, and they are academics, activities, outdoor education, personal and social education, and service. Academics is what most schools and communities think of when we talk about schools, and it is a significant part of what makes our schools successful. But it is not the only thing that makes our reputation as a holistic education and a world leader in holistic education. We're as committed to our activities, our outdoor education, our personal and social education, and our service. And we're going to explain how each of those 5 elements work in each of the Dover and East Campus. And I'll start now on the next slide. So before we do that, just to note that there are different entry points, and we do understand there are different entry points for students coming into the high school. Some come in grade 9, some come in grade 10, and we know that some come in grade 11. And it doesn't matter where students come in, those 5 elements, the PSE, that's the personal and social education, the activities, outdoor ed, service and academics, they're the same all the way through. So all students, and whenever you come into the college, will do all 5. Next point. So we'll lead off with personal and social education. And Seema is going to take over on this first element of our learning program.
Hi, everyone. So personal and social education, as Damien mentioned, is really one of our key learning elements, and it's really very much a vital part of our holistic education program here at UWC. It is important because we really value student well-being being at the forefront of our students' development. Not only do we wish to support our students through their social and emotional issues, but we also hope to support them to cultivate positive well-being for themselves, which is so important. If I could have the next slide, please. So well-being is very much a focus of being a part of UWCSEA, and students really have a group of adults and of course each other that really look after them and kind of create that support around the child. Caring for student well-being is a shared responsibility that every member of our community takes very seriously. We have a program where each student belongs to a mentor group and meets with their mentor daily, and through this regular contact and building a relationship really develops a sense of belonging. Could I have the next slide, please? We know that learning is much more effective when the learner feels secure and supported. So during mentor time, we focus on students forming very positive relationships with each other and, of course, with the adults around them. The mentor cares for each student's social, emotional, and physical well-being, and is very much a part of a team that will be there to care for your child. This includes heads of grades, their teachers, the high school leadership team, counselors, coaches, and the list goes on. We are very much a team of dedicated professionals that create this culture of care around each student. If I could have the next slide. So another very important aspect of our holistic learning program is service. And it's often stated that at the heart of our mission is being in service of others. And it's absolutely one of the main reasons why I chose to be at UWCSEA and be a part of this community. If I could have the next slide, please. So in the same way as we have some overarching learning objectives for all our students in the various types of curriculum, we have the same for our service curriculum. So our students engage in age-appropriate, curriculum-linked service learning directly linked to these 3 service learning standards. Okay, and those standards are awareness, sustainable development, and systems thinking, as well as taking action and being a change maker. It's very much around taking purposeful action. And we feel that by doing this, individuals and groups can really act as change makers, contributing to the sustainable development of both local and global communities. Next slide. Links are made where possible in the academic curriculum and in PSE, as well as in activities and outdoor education. In the infant and junior school and middle school, service learning is in the school timetable and is also offered as lunchtime and after school opportunities. In the high school grades, the service learning program is intentionally supported for students to fulfill the CAS requirements in the IB diploma so that they can achieve their IB diploma. There are 4 strands of our service learning program, which are shown here. We have college service, we have Singapore service, and also our international global service. And these are all intentionally facilitated within the high school program, as well as our student service leadership groups. So college service would be services such as gardening, learning how to grow food, linked to sustainability, science, food ethics. We celebrated our 50th anniversary 2 years ago, and the UWC International Director, Faith Abiodun, recently visited, and one of the highlights of his visit was the tour of the gardens that we have here on Dover, where they passionately showed him the differences between the different types of groups. And you can see we have a rainforest restoration service, so there are many, many opportunities for our students within the college service. We also have local services where we partner with communities outside of the college in Singapore. This includes nursing homes, activity centres, training centres for people with intellectual disabilities, hospitals, student care centres, and the list goes on. I just want to share with you my own experience of the Singapore service program. So last year, I was really lucky to have the opportunity to join a service which is called New Life, which is where students who have parents who work really long hours, they are cared for in a centre in Singapore. And every Friday afternoon, these students would travel to UWC Dover, where our grade 11 students would prepare lots of different activities with them. And it was just an incredible privilege for me to be a part of that. We also have a global service, which are known as our GCs, where we support grassroots NGOs outside of Singapore. And then we also have our student service leadership groups. This year, I am doing a slightly different service, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about that because it involves working with our parent service group, which is called PACE. And they are partnered with a school in Malaysia, in Johor Bahru, called CSB, and they support refugees, and specifically Rohingya refugees. So I was part of a team. I'm a science teacher. So I was part of a team that visited the school and helped to set up the science labs. And I'm also involved in a service group here in school where they do online tutoring for students at CSB to help them with their GCSE. So for me, this is one of the most fulfilling aspects of my role here, and I thoroughly enjoy it. If I could have the next slide, please. Before we move on to activities, I just also want to share with you our student kind of leadership through the GCs. This last Saturday, we had our GC, so our global concerns, which are our international NGOs. The executive ran a workshop for all our students that were interested in GCs in this academic year. They had over 200 students for the day, and they ran a series of workshops over, kind of 4 hours. And I have to say that it was just incredible. I sometimes think that I need to learn quite a lot from our students and the way they facilitate these really purposeful activities. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to now pass over to Damien, and he's going to talk a little bit about the activities program. Damien.
Yeah, thanks, Seema. And I love hearing your story there, Seema, about your own involvement there. I'm in awe. I must get in touch with you about the PACE one. My kids actually live for their service. They absolutely love them, and they also love their activities, which is what I'm going to cover now here. So next slide, please. The activities program is vast. I think that's probably the word I would use for the activities program. It's very intentional. Yes, there are huge numbers of activities, I think running into several hundreds across the college. But there is a lot of intentionality in the way that they are, the way they're framed, and in the way that we want to provide not just the activities, but the opportunity to participate in activities in different ways. Sometimes students want to go in and that's all they want to do, and they want to not just enjoy an activity, but excel in an activity. For many others, my children in particular, they don't know what they want to do, but they thrive in doing lots of different activities. On East and Dover, there is something for everyone, and they can all do it in different ways, whether it's art and design, music, drama, leadership, or the representative sport, which is obviously something that we have a reputation for as well, but it could also be in home languages and culture. Next slide. I wanted to share with you a video so you can sort of get a feel for some of our activities, and we'll do that now. Wow, I don't think I've seen that video. That's awesome. I really like that one. Another element of our learning program, the 5 elements, if you remember, is outdoor education. And outdoor education, some schools do, for sure. What we do here in the college is we have a huge amount of thought goes into the whole of the outdoor education and experience. If you are here in the younger years, students have multiple opportunities to grow and experience outdoor education. But if you're coming in now, grade 9, 10, or 11, there'll be opportunities for outdoor education across your time here. Next slide. So again, a lot of thought does go into the outdoor education. We know how important it is to have experiences that allow students to learn in different ways. So not only is there connections that we make with the personal and social education, and not only do we want to make sure that there's this idea that people have age-appropriate challenges, we know how important and how important it is to connect to nature, to understand yourself, to have healthy relationships with others, and to develop new skills. And they don't always happen on the campus. And sometimes we do need to go and put ourselves in exciting and outdoor spaces in order to experience some of the wonder and awe that goes into this growth. Again, it's always an experience that the students look forward to, and I hope it's something that you would wish for your children as well. Next slide. So again, in grade 9, if you're coming in grade 9 or 10 or 11, different options, different expeditions will be made available. And the way that works is that we communicate those in advance. Often parents and students can have a chance to have a look at the different things that they might want to do. And we make sure that our students can get in on those and really thrive. The best of them really do change young people. And when they come back, and we've just had, for example, some expeditions come back, you can see the difference. The conversations are different, the relationships are different. They just seem always to have grown through these experiences. Next slide. So the last of those learning elements is our academics program, and I'll try and give you a run through of those. Next slide. So we have a 4-year high school, and generally that's split up into grade 9 and 10, and then grade 11 and 12. Grades 9 and 10 have a different learning experience in some ways, and then in grades 11 and 12, our students do the IB diploma. But what I'll do is I'll start at grade 9 and work through. So for those of you who are coming into grade 9, there are actually across the college 2 entry points to IGCSEs or our own UWCSEA program. And the courses are different in different ways. IGCSEs are generally 2-year certificate courses. So if you start them in grade 9, you'll finish them in grade 10. And they'll finish off with some external exams at the end of grade 10. That's the IGCSE courses. Our UWC courses are 1- and 2-year courses, so a mixture of one year. They'll do them in grade 9, and if they wish to carry on with those courses, they can carry on into grade 10. But there are opportunities in between grade 9 and 10 to take on other courses as well, so a different sort of flexibility. We have our own written curriculum there, and we do our own exams. And the idea here is that there is probably a greater alignment to the international baccalaureate in those. At Dover, so on Dover campus with SEMA at Dover, all grade 9s will take one UWCSEA course, that's in English, and then there's an option to select either a combination of IGCSEs and UWC courses. So there's some optionality over at Dover between those courses. And the way it works over at East is that the grade 9s either select to follow the UWC program or the IGCSE program. So there's the 2 program choices there. But either way, options to do either of those course types. Next slide. For those coming in grade 10, all of our grade 10 entrants on East and Dover, they take our UWC courses. The reason that it's all UWC courses is because the IGCSE, if you remember, it's a 2-year program. They would have to have started in grade 9. So if you come in grade 10, you'll do our UWC courses. And these are highly modular. They're very flexible. They're aligned to the IB. They speak to that mission. So a lot of our learning will make sure that there's an international perspective, global outlooks, and we don't dodge peace and sustainability conversations. and they're very interdisciplinary. So a full suite of courses available in grade 10 too. And moving on. And just to, on the short slide here, just whether it's IGCSE courses or UWC courses, it's the same destination. These children are in grade 9 and 10. They're very young. We're getting them ready for the IB diploma in grade 11 and 12. We'll talk about that very shortly. So it'll be a slightly different experience, the two courses, but we're delivering to the same destination, and they're going to very much look forward to their IB diploma, whether they've gone through either of those course types. Next slide. There we go. Got a nice video. We want more alignment with the IB diploma that we do in grade 11. The way they learn, explore, focus on concepts and skills, and what we choose to learn in the classroom is being curated to prepare our students for the diploma program, which they'll do in due course.
I think the new program's a really exciting opportunity for us. I think we're very excited here in the high school maths department about what it enables us to do. It gives us lots of freedom to explore areas of mathematics that we want to explore with students. It enables us to dig deeper into concepts, and it enables us to be more mission aligned, to explore into avenues of mathematics outside the classroom that links to lots of other things that they're learning in other parts of the curriculum.
Yeah, what I really like about the new program is that the kids' learning is so much more focused on the process instead of the end goal. Of course, we do tests, we do assessments, etc. But it's really about them and their learning process. They're developing their own understanding of what is history, what is relevant, etc. So it's much more focused on the process itself of learning instead of what kind of tests are we working towards to.
I think for this science course, I think there's a lot of opportunities for students to engage with their own identity through science. Traditionally, science is delivered quite as a Western Eurocentric version of the scientific story, but here we're finding opportunities to look at both Eastern influences as well as students engaging with scientists from their own culture and to seeing what their background, what their home has contributed to these scientific ideas.
Probably just the subject selections in general. I really enjoy the subjects I chose were extra English and extra science. And I've been really enjoying those subjects because everyone that chose them are really passionate about the subjects.
I liked the family history unit because it was a very new approach to learning history, because I learned things that I normally wouldn't have learned. And it's very interesting to kind of know where I'm from and know my background, because that makes me who I am. And that's also a huge part of history because it influences the present and the future.
So here's a sort of pathway, starting from the bottom and working our way up. Grade 9 and grade 10 students will then progress mainly through the left-hand channel, which is through into grade 11 and 12 for the IB diploma program. But we also have some students who can do the IB courses of study in grade 11 and 12 too. Either way, what we're always looking forward to is supporting all of our students to achieve a high school diploma from the college. And we are constantly, particularly as they're moving through grades 11 and 12, thinking about life after college. For some, that's with national service. Some, it's a gap year. Some to university, some to pre-university work. And we spend a significant amount of time talking about life after college and preparing through conversations, constantly through with mentors or university advisors or coaches around the school about what life after college will look like. Next slide. So I'll just go back then to the grade 11. I've just said that most of our students will do the IB diploma, but we also are very happy that some students choose to do IB courses of study. It's a 2-year program, so students start in grade 11 and finish in grade 12. Next. So I'm going to pass over to Seema again, who's going to take us through some of the outcomes for us.
Thanks, Damien. I hope you have had a nice kind of overview of our academic program, as well as the other 4 aspects of our holistic program here at UWC. I just want to talk to you a little bit about our outcomes and, you know, our opportunities for our students once they graduate from UWC. If you could just move to the next slide, please. I'm going to start by showing this video to you, and this is really Pamela, who's our University Advising Counsellor at East, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about the grade 9-10 program and university placement.
So universities have international students applying from different systems around the world, and they're well versed in evaluating different transcripts and credentials. UK universities may have IGCSE requirements for A-level students, but that's because A-level students often don't take math and English at grades 11 and 12. Of course, IB students can demonstrate proficiency in those subjects through both their IB grades and their subjects in FIB or in UWCSEA's grade 9-10 program, as these are deemed equivalent to IGCSEs. No one in East's first graduating class, the class of 2014, took IGCSEs, and their university placements were just as robust as impressive as any other classes. Historical data suggests that the universities will view the grade 9-10 program as excellent preparation for university.
Have the next slide, please. We have a really strong alumni network, as I'm sure you can imagine, and I know you can't really read all the kind of stories on this slide, but I just want to share a couple of experiences that I've had with you. I was lucky enough last year to interact with one of our alumni. His name is Q. He graduated from UWC Pearson, and he's also a former Dover teacher. He left us to go and study peace education, and he's now working in peace education consultancy. He's also been doing extensive hands-on restorative work with youth in conflict in Myanmar and southern Thailand. So he really is able to speak powerfully to our students about what living our mission can look like. He led a workshop for some of our high school students last year during UWC Day, which was just incredible, and really brought to life the mission for our students during that day. We also were absolutely delighted to have a visit from Nadeem Makarim. I'm sure some of you might know who he is. He is an alum of UWCSEA, and he's also the founder of Zalora and Gojek. And he's the current Minister of Education, Culture, Research and Technology for Indonesia. He spoke to our grade 11 and 12 students about the path he's taken since graduating from college, his achievements and what he learned, and really importantly, what the UWC mission how that has played a role in his life. So I just wanted to share that with you. Next slide, please. We're really very proud of our results and our students of UWCSEA. They graduate as global citizens from our school, and they embrace challenge and really do take responsibility for shaping a better world. This slide here shows you a summary of our IB diploma results, which is the culmination of their high school journey. This year, as last year, we were 6.5 points above the world average, which is pretty incredible. We've also had a significant increase in the number of bilingual diplomas over the past couple of years. It used to be about 10 to 12% 5 years ago, and it's now over it's about 22%. And that really is a credit to our language program here at the school. So I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that you have had a really, informative overview of our school. And I'm just going to show you a video about our university destinations before I hand over to Lucy. But if you can just play the video, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm Kenzie, and I am headed towards Australian National University in Canberra to study political science, and I am super excited to meet new people and experience uni life.
My name is Arena. I'm going to study engineering and architecture at Technical University of Eindhoven, and I'm most excited about the beginning of my studies.
Hi, my name is Lorania, and I'm planning to pursue medicine in the UK at St. George's University of London. So I'm planning to study medicine, and I'm most looking forward to getting out and exploring new things.
Hi, I'm Akash Nambudiri. I'll be heading to the University of Washington in Seattle to study engineering. I'm most looking forward to studying in a big campus and meeting different types of people, but also following my passion for engineering and sustainability.
Hi, my name is Brooke and I'm from Kenya. I'll be going to Middlebury College to study international politics with economics with a minor in Spanish, and I look forward to learning how to ski. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Arjun, and after graduation, I will be serving my national service and I will be in the Army. What I look forward to the most is learning a new set of skills and having an experience that I think is unique, and it's something that not a lot of people get to have.
I'm Daisy, and I'm going to be studying life sciences at the University of Toronto, and I'm most looking forward to exploring the culturally diverse city of Toronto and being on my own and independent.
My name is Ananya. I am hoping to study law in the UK, hopefully at UCL, and I'm excited to study a subject that I have not studied at UWC, and I'm excited to explore my passion further.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm going to be studying medicine either in London or Singapore, and I'm most excited to meet new people.
Thank you. I really hope that you enjoyed hearing from our students as much as I do. Every time I watch that video, they are truly inspirational. So on that note, I'm going to hand you over to Lucy, who's our head of marketing and communications, and we'll have a question and answer session. Lucy.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Seema and Damien. That was wonderful. We have had a number of great questions come in to the chat. Thank you to all our participants for putting your questions in. So we had quite a few questions around IGCSE and the IBs and the UWCSEA courses. So I've tried to combine a few of the questions that were similar so that we can try and answer them in bulk. Okay, I'm going to start with you, Seema, if you don't mind. The first question is, for students who join earlier in their year 7 or year 8, for example, would they be able to choose whether they want to join IGCSE or UWCSEA courses when they then move into grade 9?
Okay, that's a really good question. So from 2025 onwards, so it would depend which grade they're joining, we are only going to be offering the UWCSEA courses. So GCSEs will no longer be available to students from 2025 onwards. The reason for this is because we know that the UWCSEA courses provide incredible opportunities for our students for learning, real-life context, problem solving, critical thinking, and also will prepare our students even better for the IB diploma should they choose that pathway. So depending on when they join in middle school, it'll determine what kind of their options, but the UWCSEA courses are available every year until 2025, when they'll be the only option.
Terrific. Thank you, Seema. That's actually a very good segue into question 2, which is I'm going to direct to you, Damien. The question is, and the IGCSE element of this may now be irrelevant for this person, but we'll answer it anyway. So why are the options to select IGCSE versus UWCSEA program different between Dover and East? And so a few people have come in with questions around, in a similar vein. So why are they different, and what are the differences essentially?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, you can see here that we've made a college decision to move beyond GCSEs, so that we are focusing and preparing our students really for the IB diploma in a different way, and also for that life beyond college in a different way. That was a few years ago, and across the college, we wanted to, a few years ago, this was, how would we do this? How would we position ourselves with a wonderful UWC program that could be ready for 2025. And we used a couple of rapid prototyping models to do two different approaches rapidly to see what elements at Dover and East we would want to take forward. And there are certain elements that Dover have spearheaded and have been wonderful, and we'll be adapting those going forward. And there's been some elements at East which have worked really well, and we'll be taking them forward. It does mean that for the last year or two, and for another year, we're going to have an element of transition. So there will be some differences between East and Dover. I'll come back to those in a moment. But the idea is that it will be identical from 2025 onwards. If we had gone slowly with that rapid prototyping, we may have not been able to do that change so quickly, actually. And with all of the expertise and different expertise on Dover and East campus, we're one of the largest international schools in the world. We wanted to really use and to support innovation in a different way. So we're there. There are some slight nuances. The way that Dover looked at it was to have a look at a model where there were opportunities to potentially do a blend, so a mixture of UWC courses and GCSEs. Some of those UWC courses were more interdisciplinary and were quite exciting as well. And at East, we thought that we would have fewer options, less interdisciplinary, but do a full program of either one or the other. And that allowed us to learn about some of the programmatic elements of a different offer as well. So there are some slight changes. The headline is that in many ways, and this is what we're telling all of our parents, it doesn't matter per se. We're in grades 9 and 10. We're still very young. We are dedicated on both programs, so UWC or GCSE, to prepare for the IB diploma. And we will make sure and continue to make sure that all of our young people are prepared to do the IB and flourish and go and do what they wish to do. So, yeah, a little bit of difference, but not for long. And we don't think the points of difference are any that will actually change how our young people enjoy the high school. It's been that way for 2 years. And our feedback and our surveys and our looking around at learning has just been, well, first of all, that all of our young people seem to flourish. There are some things, obviously, there is a reason we're moving beyond GCSEs, but that's okay. They're still thriving, and we're very excited to help wherever people are. Does that help, Lucy?
That's terrific. That's great. I think the key point there is that the program at the moment across the two colleges, the UWCSEA program, whilst there are some slight differences between the two, the program is still being sort of developed. It's in its infancy. You're taking feedback from students, from parents, from staff, and come 2025, it will be a solid sort of, it will be the only option essentially for our students. Which actually brings me to another great question, and this, I'm just going to frame this in the context of a student beginning in 2024. So if a student, Seema, I'll direct this one to you. For a student entering in grade 10 in 2024, if they are already doing the IGCSE in their current school, will they be allowed to continue in grade 10, 2024?
So that's actually a question that has many layers to it. The GCSEs are quite different depending on the type of GCSE that you do, the exam board that you do, and then within that, schools teach those GCSEs in different orders. So it's not, I'm not going to say no, but it's unlikely that there will be a good match for a student to come into grade 10 who can just slot in to do GCSEs that are on offer either at Dover or on East. And the reality is that they would be better suited to joining the UWCSEA program, where they get a choice of different, similar subjects, but in kind of different ways of learning that will prepare them even better for the diploma, should they choose to do that, or courses, rather than trying to navigate an exam system which will be quite hard for them to manage in terms of the curriculum that they have to cover. So they would be much better suited to join in grade 10 in our UWCSEA courses, is the short answer.
Terrific. Thank you, Seema. Okay, we might then go on to some of these questions around the IB diploma, because there were also many. So, Seema, whilst I have you, I will keep you and direct this one to you. So the UWC IB scores are very high. You showed us the slide and talked us through the well above the world average there. So these high scores combined with our strong values and beliefs behind diversity and inclusiveness, does this mean that UWC only encourages students that will get a score of above 30 to do particular courses?
Absolutely not.
I can see you both shaking your heads vigorously there. Terrific.
We're very proud of the outcomes that our students graduate with, but it's not just in academics. And actually, we really do focus on the other aspects of learning, which you would have seen during our presentation. Being involved in PSC activities, service, outdoor education, and we do have students graduate with a range of scores, and certainly it's not, we do not stop any students or say to students that they can't select a certain course. We may guide them towards what's best for them, but we really believe in giving students the chance to experience what they're really passionate about, because that's where they're going to do really well.
Terrific. Thank you, Seema. Did you want to add to that, Damien?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite, so Seema and I have worked in other schools and international schools, and the question has come up, and it does come up in many international schools, that students are filtered out, because it's going to affect their average grades, and we're not that school. We really do believe that our students can make the right choices. They might ask for help or advocate for themselves, but every student who wants to sit that diploma, we're as proud of all of our students who go and do that. But we also have many students who, a brilliant outcome is just getting above that 24-point pass. And for that student who that is their target, we celebrate that as much as any 45. It's quite a different school.
Terrific. Thank you, Damien. Whilst I have you, Damien, I'll direct this next one to you. What is the historical average? If you have a percentage, you may not have this, so we can always follow up afterwards. But do we have this, the historical average of students taking the IB diploma pathway versus the IB courses of study pathway?
I haven't got a specific percentage. I think the 2 or 6. I'd put it in the 1% sort of area. I think, Seema, it's a handful each year. What we've got to be careful of is it's so many of our students want to do the diploma, and then sometimes switch out, because other things and other priorities and other stresses come into their lives through the 2 years. It's quite a long time, and for some of those students, doing the courses goes back to that point about a 24 points and a diploma pass. We will try and celebrate and push people onto their best self and the best preparation for after school. For some of them, it's doing courses only, but it's very few at the moment. But that could change depending on the nature of the cohort. Yeah, for sure. Seema, you might have a different nuance.
Yeah, I'm agree with what Damien said. We don't have many students who start off choosing that pathway. And, the majority of our students do get the IB diploma, but we support them in whatever they may choose to do, and whatever comes their way in those 2 years, we support them to make the choice that suits them best.
Terrific, thank you. Seema, I have a question here. My daughter speaks good English, but does not have English as her native language. What are the chances of her mastering or being able to manage the course content in high school?
So we have an EAL program that offers support to students throughout high school, and they'll be supported through, learning English as an additional language or just gaining those additional skills. In addition to that, at East, if you are, I think, you want to do have additional language, you have the option to do even more English, so that you get an opportunity to have to learn English in a more supported manner. And often we find that students only need to do this for a couple of years, and then they move into mainstream English. Even when they join us in grade 11, we often have movement within these classes, so they get a lot of support and guidance, and are often very, very successful.
Great, thank you. Just looking at my questions here. So, Damien, you were talking about activities and how much kids love the activities. I've had a question around the offer of activities. Do all sporting activities take place for all ages? This person is particularly interested for grade 10. What are the chances of field hockey for girls?
Oh, it's very specific. And clearly we don't do all sports because there's just too many of them. And sometimes we particularly around sports, if they're team sports, there needs to be mass. Field hockey, I don't think we have field hockey. I'll put it out. I would love to do field hockey. I played at school. I enjoyed it. I'd love it. What I found here is that nothing's fixed. So I've seen a couple of sports that weren't run when I arrived 3 years ago that have been run now. So where we have groups of students who have come together and said, look, I've got some friends here and I want to do this, and we've actually, some magic sometimes happen. And our activities team, we have a full-time activities team. They're not teachers who are so full. They literally are full-time thinking about activities and the offer. They've actually helped students in these particular situations, maybe to advocate and to help set up new sports if they're not run. And so that's something, although I can't put field hockey on just to make it happen, I have seen things happen because the students can make things happen. So never say never.
Absolutely. And I can add to that as well. That Damien is absolutely correct. So the students often have a lot of input into the programs that are offered in the sports and activities programs across both campuses. And as Damien said, if there is interest, then they will often create a group. And I know that somebody else asked about robotics, and robotics is actually an activity that my child takes after school as part of the activities program. So to that particular person, I've also just shared the link to the activities website with you, so you can go and have a look at what's on offer. Okay, thank you. Back to our questions. Seema, one for you. What are your IB language courses? What's available in language courses in the IB, and are there any prerequisites? Are there any prerequisites for taking a language class?
Okay, so we're talking about in the diploma program.
Yes, I believe so. It wasn't specific. So let's go with diploma.
So we offer a vast range of languages. This, I have to say, we offer far more than I've seen in many other schools that I've been at. We offer, so in the diploma, you have the option to study languages as a language A. So that's as your language, and it's a literature course. We also offer language B, which is a language acquisition course, and also ab initio. So that would be for students who have not previously studied the language for very long. So for example, I might want to do Spanish ab initio, not having learned Spanish before. So there are 3 types of language courses. If you do 2 language A's, you will graduate with a bilingual diploma, which is what I talked about on that slide. The options for the languages are really quite enormous. So we offer French, Spanish, German, Dutch, Japanese, Korean, and the list is quite extensive. So I don't know if there's somewhere that we can direct parents to the list of those languages, because they are quite extensive.
There is actually, I can jump in there, Seema. There's actually a brochure. If you have a look in the admissions resources section of the website, you will find some brochures there where you can actually view the different languages that are on offer throughout the different school sections.
So placement in languages is often quite complicated and is determined by the level of your reading, writing, speaking, listening, as well as the IB has certain requirements around how many years of learning you've had prior to taking that language. So I think it's really important that those are made on an individual case-by-case basis rather than giving a general answer about what the requirements are for each of those. And our language teachers will be able to help place students in the appropriate level.
Great, thank you. Katie, I have an admissions question for you. Do you prefer someone who's had more than 2 years experience in an international school in order to enter grade 10?
That is an interesting question. I'm assuming it is around a language, maybe a level of English, possibly. So I'll take it from that slant first. So if a student has been in what we call an EMI school, an English medium school, before joining us, they are possibly going to be more successful in being eligible for our applicant pool for offers than a student who hasn't had any EMI learnings, English medium instruction learning. But there are always cases where students do extensive English outside of school. So for every applicant that applies for the high school, so for grade 9, grade 10 or grade 11, if we think that their English level needs to be looked at a little bit more carefully, we will invite those applicants to take an online EAL, an English as an additional language assessment. And then that will give us an indication whether we believe that student will have enough English to successfully navigate the learning program in whichever grade that they have applied. So the answer, sort of the short answer is possibly if we're looking at English levels, but if we're not looking at English levels, no, we don't have a prerequisite for students to have joined another international school before joining us.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Katie. Okay, Damien, if I could pass this question to you. Some universities look at IGCSE scores in addition to the IB scores. Does that mean that students who have completed the UWCSEA course are at a disadvantage when they apply to those universities?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I think it's one of our main frequently asked questions around the program. There's quite a lot of myth around what the GCSE relationship is with universities, and it depends when one took GCSEs. And 5 or 10 years, certainly 5-10 years ago, certainly the answer might be different. But the world of GCSEs has certainly been transformed and has changed, and the university's relationship with GCSEs has transformed dramatically over 10 years, to the point where they're not a prerequisite for university. Our graduates graduate with an IB diploma, mainly, 99% of them. And therefore, the universities are looking at the IB diploma and their performance across the IB diploma, plus across their transcript, all of their other elements across the high school diploma experience. Students obviously, say, for example, in the UK universities, might sometimes refer to GCSEs, but in the context that is the education for those in the UK, who then go on to do A-levels, who then go on to universities. We've had 40, 50 years of sending students at UWCSEA to university without GCSEs. So many of our students, I think up to a third at East and something similar at Dover, a third every year have never done a GCSE. And we send them, as Pamela was saying, the university advisor was saying, we send them every year, and they are as robust, I think were her words, but as certainly their outcomes are as extraordinary as every other student here. To our board, when we made the decision to move away from GCSEs, they asked that question, but we've got no evidence to be able to suggest that GCSEs are impacting or have a relationship with university entries. So we wouldn't be looking at that as an issue. And we've also clarified that with all of our university partners. We've been sending UWC graduates out from UWCSEA for 50 years, and as the largest diploma school in the world, We send huge amounts of students to universities, and we're well known, and they have for the universities which we mainly send our students, we've confirmed with them that they're not looking for GCSE results, for example. So not only are they not needing it, we've also checked with them, and we do communicate that out to parents. But I do understand that I did GCSEs. I know that when I was doing GCSEs, it may have been a feature, but I'm going. You can't quite see it here, but I am going grey, and those days are gone.
Thank you very much, Damien. This is a question that perhaps you would both like to answer. So, Seema, I will start with you, and then Damien, please feel free to jump in. So it was mentioned that the UWCSEA courses prepare students better for the IB. Can we please shed some light and some details on how and why?
I love that question. Very happy to answer that one. So our UWCSEA courses are really mission aligned, and they are transdisciplinary. They provide learning in real life contexts. So what that means is we're able to provide context for students that is meaningful for them. And research shows that when you do that, students learn better. GCSEs also prepare students for the IB diploma. It's just that I feel that with the UWCSEA courses, we have the opportunity to be a little bit more creative, innovative, and more applicable to the context that our students are in. And we also have the option to be a little bit more accessible in our assessment options that are provided to students. So if you are a student that does the GCSEs, you usually sit an exam at sometime between May and June, whereas we like to do our assessments throughout the year. It also provides us with more teaching time. Our students don't go on study leave and have that kind of time when they've got exams over almost 2 months. So it just gives us much more optionality to provide really meaningful learning opportunities for our students. And these courses are developed by our really experienced IB diploma teachers who've been teaching the diploma for many, many years. So they have the creativity and the ability to adapt those courses accordingly. I'm sure Damien has more to add as well.
Yeah, it's quite an important one, and I mentioned that photo of me was back in Holland, and my previous job was as the head of the IB diploma program. So my job there was to lead the team that designed every one of the IB courses. So from math to science, every course, 35 plus subjects. And so the same design process that my teams were using in the IB to create an IB diploma course is the same that we are requiring our grade 9, 10 coordinators to design new courses for us. And bring that to life. When I was responsible for designing the new mathematics IB course, that's the higher level and standard level IB courses that I run now, they were replaced 2 years ago around the world to 7,000 IB schools. Two of the course designers that I used on the team to design that new mathematics course, which are delivered around the world, actually came from UWCSEA. And two of those, the same people, are actually responsible for designing our UWCSEA courses, for example. So we're able, and more than able, to design and think in ways that prepare people for the IB diploma, because, for want of a better word, we know exactly what's needed to prepare students for the IB diploma.
Thank you, Damien. Whilst I have you, we've got time for 2 more questions. So the first one should be fairly quick. Would there be an opportunity for a student to do a second foreign language course as part of their IB diploma? Oh, sorry, Damien, I was going to direct that to you, but anybody could pick that up, actually.
Tim, do you want this one?
So can you do a second foreign language course?
Yeah, so the IB diploma has 6 subject groups, and you have to select subjects from each of those groups. In the 6th group, you have some electives, So it would depend on what the subject was that they wanted to do. We want to make sure that our students also get a breadth of subjects. So we would look at that on a case-by-case basis.
Terrific, thank you. And the last question, now this is quite broad and could also be considered quite subjective. However, I'm going to throw the floor open to all three of you if you'd like to perhaps speak from your personal experience. So the question is, why has UWC been rated the best among all the international schools? Again, subjective. However, I think you can probably speak from your own experience as to what makes it special to you and what you think our point of difference is. Who'd like to start?
I don't mind. I don't mind
Go on,
starting.
Damien. Tag, you're it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to moderate. This is something that it's very nice to hear, but it is not an attitude that it's certainly not something that I would ever project, and because I think actually that sort of hubris is always quite a problem. But nice to hear. One of the reasons I wanted to work here and to see this as such a privilege is that I wanted to work in a truly holistic school. I've repeated it, and it keeps getting mentioned. Many schools can drive and tune a school so that it produces a product around academics, and many schools do that. And that means they tune all of their resources and even their selectivity and the way that they nudge people to make decisions around academics. Maybe there are slightly easier options. Maybe this will go well with this. Maybe you shouldn't do this. So there's all sorts of ways that a school can move stuff out of the way just to focus on academics. And for some parents, that's quite attractive. What we set out to do is to put 5 learning elements and to really challenge our students. Not just around this word rigor, but actually around vigor. And I don't know that any other school that puts as much attention to detail about and being so unapologetic about, look, you're going to be really busy, yes, with academics, but you know what, you're going to be, you don't want to be late for your service, and you're going to be up early with your activities, maybe late into the night. And do you know what is really challenging? And I would say that the experience here, and our alumni would say, it was one of the most challenging experiences they've had. We have to look after people in that challenging environment, and we think we do. But as a result of that challenge and that vigor around 5 elements, which we take so seriously, and our young people do as well, I think it leads to a feeling that when people leave us, that they would see a different type of graduate. Our admissions partners, who I referred to earlier at universities, for example, and in the national service, here in Singapore, they notice that about our graduates. They just say, "Yeah, academics, we got it," but they're just so much. They've done project management. They've thought about service. They've thought about others. Their language is different. The way they talk is different, and so what I hope is you're reflecting in that, best internet, whatever it is about, how invested we are in producing a UWC graduate that is a product of a holistic education. I hope that's what we're doing well.
Thank you, Damien. Would anyone else like to add to that?
I mean, I can talk about it from my personal perspective, having joined here fairly recently. I mean, I think we are quite unique in being a school that we really live our mission. And when you speak to our students, they really enact that mission. And for me personally, I mean, I alluded to it during the presentation, it's the service aspect, I think, here is so powerful and meaningful. I think it just adds a different dimension to what our students value and what they want to do when they leave school as well. So that comes through really strongly in the alumni as well. So it is a special place to be. And, our students are quite inspirational. So
terrific. Thank you so much. Well, we will end on that personal reflection. Thank you. Very much appreciate your time, and thank you to the participants for their fabulous questions. I'm now going to hand back over to Katie to close us off.
Thank you very much, Lucy. And some fantastic questions there. I agree. They were a really wonderful questions. So we've now come to the end of our high school virtual webinar. And I'd like to thank both Seema and Damien for the time that they have spent with us today. Bye-bye, Damien. My colleague would just be popping up a QR code. Yep, there it is on the screen now. We would really love your feedback from today, just to give us a little bit of feedback about today's presentation. It's a very quick survey. It will only take you literally a few minutes to fill out. So while you're doing that, just to say thank you to my colleagues who have been working behind the scenes as well, answering your questions, giving you links to various places on our website. If you do require any more information, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. There are many ways to do that, either via booking a virtual meeting with us, by email, or by the phone. And if you have registered for the online events, which are happening, the in-person events, which are happening this week on Thursday and Friday on our campuses, we are very much looking forward to meeting with you and connecting with you then. So it's goodbye from us, and thank you very much for joining us today, and we do look forward to connecting with you again in the future. Thank you.